What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another video. Thanks for watching. Today we are going to be installing a BMS hard charge pipe upgrade with a blow-off valve. As you guys might know, these cars are notorious for blowing up the stock charge pipe. And as soon as I put this thing on JB4 map 1, increase the boost, I think I blew the charge pipe. I'm not sure. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to remove everything, install the new charge pipe. That way you won't have to be worried about getting stranded on the side of the road like I was. This is a truly great first upgrade for these cars, and I'm gonna dive right into it. The first step is removing this whole upper cowl area so we can get at that location. And to do that, there are two black plastic boxes on both sides here. These just unclip by hand, and then there's an 8mm bolt that we can take off right here. And again, it's the same process on that other side, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Now with both panels removed, we're gonna remove the cabin filter, and there are 4 bolts, 2 on each side, to remove this filter element. Those 2 are off. We can set this aside. And now this just unlatches from the one side and unlatches from the other side. And we must remove these cables. Let's just pull right out. If you've had them off before, they're easier. If you've not, they might throw a little bit of a fit. And then this clip needs to be pulled off. And then this whole assembly just pulls right off. Now this car has the awesome Dynon cold air intake, but if you have the stock airbags, it is the same procedure. We're just gonna go ahead and unclip all of these silver clips on the side of the airbox lid. Get those nice and loose, and then next we're gonna loosen this clamp so we can take the airbox lid off. With the airbox lid out of the way, we're gonna go ahead and disconnect this hose from the airbox. Well, it's not connected to the airbox itself, but we're just gonna move that out of the way. And then disconnect this snorkel. Just like so. And this airbox is then connected to the inlets on each side. To make life easier, I'm gonna remove the 2 bolts on each side of this snorkel. And that way I can remove this piece and get it out of the way. The airbox is fed from both the front and rear inlet. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen up the connection on both sides. And once that is loose, we should be able to pry with a screwdriver the connection here and the connection on the back off, and then the airbox should lift right out. There are 3 tabs on the airbox itself attaching these wires. They just pull right up and off. You will see them, they're very easy to disconnect. Just like so. And now this should, with some force, snap out of the holes. I know it sounds a little bit abrasive, but all that is just some posts being held in to these 3 points. You just gotta tug on it to get them out. Now with the intake removed, I think I already found what the problem is without going any further. As you can see, there's a hose here, and this hose is supposed to be connected to that brass fitting right there like that. That's an evap line, and it was just dangling there with the clip connector broken. So I'm gonna fire up the car and show you guys what it runs like with and without that connected. Luckily, I think I have a spare one of these Thank goodness for an abundance of N54 parts. So I can swap that out real quick and still install the charge pipe. As you can see here, this is the factory plastic charge pipe, just connects to the throttle body and goes down that way towards the intercooler. So I'm going to show you guys how to disconnect all this stuff and put the upgraded piece in place. But like I said, first I'm going to start this thing up and make sure it's running better with that plugged in. As you can see, she is not happy. Popping and sputtering, loud. Oh yeah. She quiets way down, nice smooth idle with that connected. And that's how she was running before. So I think that's going to solve our issue for today. Luckily I've got this spare. So let's swap it out. Got the broken one off. And I have the new replacement unit on now. As you can see, I just replaced the whole unit. This one's got a proper clip on it and it is now attached. So let's proceed with the charge pipe install. From here on out, it's pretty simple. All we have to do is loosen the clamp there with that bolt. Unbolt this charge pipe right here. It's a T30 connection. We'll also need to unplug the vacuum line from the intake manifold. I'll just go ahead and twist that off right now. These might be a little bit brittle on there because it's just so old, but I just took it off that nipple. Be careful not to break the nipple. They are plastic and very brittle. And then I will use a little hook to pull up on this clamp to loosen that. And there will be another the blow-off valve connection here. These are the stock diverter valves. We have to disconnect these. There's a connection up there at that inlet, and there's a connection right here on this inlet. You just wedge a screwdriver in and push this gray tab to that side, and this whole thing will pull out. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. It's pretty simple, but those are the only things we have to do to take this stock charge pipe out. I forgot to mention that there is another sensor down here before we disconnect this charge pipe. I've got everything else loose. As you can see, the diverter valve there, the diverter valve here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and unplug that T-map sensor down there, and this thing should come out. Just like that, she's out. So I've got the stock charge pipe next to the upgraded charge pipe here, and if you're still watching, be sure to smash that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe. I've got a lot more content coming soon. This is just the first piece of the puzzle, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready for a beer. So I just cracked a cold one. This is the official hazy India Pale Ale from Bell's Brewery. I found this at a local brewery and I really like it. So that's what I'm drinking to finish this project. But there are a few things we've got to swap over from the stock charge pipe to the new one, and I'm going to go over that now. So the first thing to swap over is the O-ring here within the stock charge pipe. We'll actually be grabbing a small pick and pulling it out just like that. We'll need to be switching this over to the new charge pipe. Just clean this up, maybe put some clean oil on it and then reinsert it there. I'm just going to set it aside for now. And the only other thing we have to transfer over is this T-map sensor. I believe it's just a T20. So we can just take that right off. And this should just come right out. Again, we'll want to clean this up, lube it a little bit, and then we'll be reinserting it right here with the supplied hardware. One other thing I do want to note is that you must make sure that these two set screws are tight. These are if you're running nitrous or meth or port fuel injection, but you want to just put a little bit of strength on both of those just to make sure they're tight, because I have heard of these coming loose and causing boost leaks. So make sure those are tight. We'll swap over this sensor here, and then we'll reinsert the O-ring here before we install this. And I opted for the kit here with a tile blow-off valve. I love this blow-off valve. I have it on my other car. It's been great to me. Spend the extra money for that. Don't reuse the stock diverter valves. They just can fail, and it sounds a lot cooler with the tile valve. So I'll show you guys how to install that in just a minute. I do want to say that this charge pipe is very good quality. As you can see, they've ground down any potential metal shavings on both ends. Everything's really smooth. The powder coating seems thick. I've already banged it around. As you can see, there's no dents or anything like that. Overall, the finish is really good. I would highly recommend this BMS charge pipe. As far as I know, I think it's the cheapest on the market. I mean, it's just a metal pipe, so there's really no sense in spending $1 million on a high quality unit unless you really got a show car. I opted for the quality blow-off valve. This does bring the price up a bit, but in my opinion, this is the best bang for the buck that's available right now. Link down below. Okay, as you can see, I've got the sensor plugged in, the O-ring installed there. The last step is just to put this tile blow-off valve on. To do that, we're going to be taking the supplied fitting here and threading it in right on top like so. It's a 10mm bolt. So I'll just go ahead and tighten it down like so. We can adjust the angle of this later by just loosening this, turning it and tightening it again. And then we'll just put the O-ring on the bottom there. This clamp is pretty straightforward. I'll go ahead and loosen up this clamp, but basically this will just go right on here like so. The clamp will keep it tight. I just got the tile blow-off valve installed there. Pretty easy. I will be reusing the stock C-clip to attach the throttle, or to the charge pipe to the throttle body. The kit also includes these two caps that we will put on the inlets to cap off that air leak that's there now. And then we also have this elbow that will attach to the old connection. So I'll go ahead and show you guys how to put this all back in the car. This whole process is pretty simple after this. The charge pipe kind of just goes on in this orientation. But first, I am actually going to install the lower elbow here. As you guys can see, I'm going to go ahead and install this onto the up pipe there, and then I will connect the charge pipe into that coupling there. Well, as you can see, the charge pipe is now installed, going from the throttle body down towards the intercooler. It was kind of a pain just because I have this Dynan cold air intake and this snorkel kept fighting me. It's a really tight squeeze up in here, and I didn't want to have to remove this from down below because it's attached behind the bumper there. But everything went smooth for the most part. Everything's tightened. The only remaining things we have left to do is they included this vacuum line. We'll be running that from the top of the tile blow-off valve to the same port on the back of the manifold that we disconnected the stock diverter valves from. And we have to attach these included caps here on the inlets just to seal off that now air leak. So pretty simple, just slide on the included caps and tighten down the hose clamp. One goes there and one is up here, just like so. So I'm going to tighten those down. I'm going to connect the T-map sensor connector there and then put everything back together the same way we removed it. Alright, as you can see, I connected the vacuum line to the blow-off valve here. I do want to note this is 1/8 inch line, and you are supposed to upgrade it to 1/4 inch line for tile blow-off valves. Right now I'm just using the supplied 1/8 inch line. There are adapters that will plug right in where this sensor connects on the manifold, and we can tap into that to use that upgraded line. But I'm not going to do that today. I just wanted to show the basics of this charge pipe install. I'll probably do that in another video. So if you haven't subscribed already, be sure to do that. Now I'm going to throw this all back together, start it up, and make sure everything works as it should be. Now that everything's back together, that pretty much wraps up the install. I do want to start this thing up and show you guys how it sounds. Maybe take it for a little drive just so you can hear the blow-off valve. This won't add any performance. It's kind of just preventative maintenance as we continue to increase boost. But let's just take a look at this. It's pretty stealthy with the stock style of airbox. A lot of people run the dual cone intakes, but I kind of like how stealthy this is. You can't really tell that it's in there. You can kind of see it from both sides, just peeking out the blow-off valve and the nice crinkle finish on the charge pipe. I'm really happy with it. I think I might, maybe get rid of this Dynon airbox, only because if I have to take this whole thing apart every time to work on it, it's just going to be a pain. The dual cone intakes will be easier, more convenient to work on, but man, this engine bay looks clean and good. It's going to be hard to get rid of that Dynon intake. So as you can tell by those free revs, it's not ricey. It doesn't make any crazy noises. No, it's just a nice clean blow off of air, which I like. I like the stealthy, subtle noises from blow off valves. But I'm gonna take this thing around the block quick, get into boost, have the windows down, and that way you guys can kind of hear what it sounds like spooling up and then letting off. I hope you guys enjoyed this installation video. The links are all going to be down below to purchase these products. Again, it's the Berger Motorsports charge pipe and a tile blow-off valve. In one of the next videos, I'm going to show you guys how to remove this cowl and modify it for a free M3 style cowl. That will also make the induction sound a lot noisier and better inside the cabin. So I'll show you how to do that, install some filters up there on the cabin air filters. So video on that coming soon. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.